Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It may not be a sunny day, but boy, it is sure shining out here today. I'm Mrs. Curie Calderon Lacey. I am the current building principal at Mount Pleasant High School. I've had the honor of being here 17 years and having worked with Robbie for quite a few of those years, and we sure do miss him. I did not have the pleasure of being here to learn the legacy, but when I got here, I certainly heard of it, and we are very proud and honored to have the opportunity to be here for this field naming. So I'll begin with bringing some greetings. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mount Pleasant High School, the home of the Green Knights. We are here today in honor to dedicate the baseball field, and in this ceremony, we honor our beloved Limmina family. Today, we gather to celebrate their legacy and the impact they have had on our community. Let us come together in gratitude and joy as we commemorate this special occasion and name this field. We thank you for joining us this morning and honoring their legacy and for their contributions to our school community and the Brandywine School District. I'm going to hand over the event to our athletic director, Mr. Keith Neff, who will then bring the program and introduce the Master of Ceremonies. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I'm usually here in the evening. This morning to commemorate this wonderful occasion.
Thank you, Principal Lacey. So if I could sing, I'd probably sing that song, Love is in the Air. It was really neat seeing everybody come together and just a big old reunion and see so many familiar faces, even for myself, running into individuals that I haven't seen in quite a while. So it's fun to get the community together to celebrate this event. The impact that the Limmina family has made in the baseball community over the past several decades is immeasurable. We're thankful for the many athletes that they have trained, for the programs that they have developed, and the communal relationships that they have built. Mount Pleasant High School is very appreciative of the Limmina family's efforts, talents, and desire to make the game of baseball relevant and great. I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy lives to attend today's ceremony to honor Rosario, Joe, and Rob by naming our baseball field Limmina Field. And I'd like to thank Kalai King, Dr. Matt Volz, and Mary O'Connell for being so instrumental in making this day happen. And I'd like to thank Paul Capanella for his sponsorship and generosity in purchasing this baseball scoreboard originally several years ago. And I'd like to thank Kim Wallace and the Delaware Orthopedic Specialist for their generosity in financing the Limmina Field signage and their ongoing support of Mount Pleasant athletics. And finally, I'd like to thank Tom McDonough and Union Press for creating and installing the signage you're going to see today after the big reveal. So congratulations to Sadi, Joe, and Rob on this well-deserved recognition. And I'd like to now turn the mic over to our Master of Ceremonies, former baseball player, Kalai King.
Wow. For those of you who know me, I'm a man of few words. I'm rarely speechless, but this is pretty damn humbling. Closer to the mic. That's the first time anybody said that to me. Well, I'm a little floored by this. When this all started about 10 years ago, I was expecting 25, 30 people here. And Rob to talk on the microphone, which ain't happening.
Get closer to the mic.
Closer to the mic. Thank you, Mary. So, this is payback, Robbie, for all the walls. But seriously, we're here for a specific thing. We're going to be going back to Bellefonte Brewery. So the war stories and the good stuff is going to happen there. Hope you all can make it back. And for those of you who can't, understand that. So we're going to take care of the important stuff right here. I'm representing the 90-91 team, actually all 4 years. Robbie came in, and people forget that he was our JV coach, assistant. Yeah, my freshman year. And then he took over. And the next year, we made the state tournament for the first time in ever? Yeah. And the next year, we were that close. We made it to the semifinals, but we weren't there yet. But we were pretty darn close. And there are a lot of people here who started it back under Sadi. Sadi started the tradition of how baseball is played on this field, the Limmina style, the Limmina way. And it was carried down to me, to my fellow players, carried on from the Chad Bowers to the Evan Stabley to the next generation. And finally, we were the leadoff hitters. Actually, Sadi's guys were the leadoff hitters. We were the middle relievers. In the 2000 team, as much as I hate them for doing it, they got us across the home plate and won it all. So you'll be hearing from some of these people and seeing us. So let's get on with this thing. I thought I had a lot of stories to tell, but I'm going to sit on those. Because it's not about me, it's about our team. So I had a bunch of things planned. They're going out the window. That's how baseball is. So I'd like to bring up anybody who played, and Johnny Grace, you better be here. Anybody who played under Robbie, the 90-91 team, come on up, please. Step up in front of the scoreboard. Jason Spizak, Jared Spizak, Johnny Grace, I know you're all about, Craig Hudson, my double play partner freshman year. Matt Money. Is that Matt Money? Matt Money in the house. So please stand up here.
Oh, there is.
Matt Curtis, where's the machine? Gizmo. Donnie LeCates, get your butt up here. So we had some good times together. There he is. So I'm going to take 1 second to say this. I can't imagine what a heartbreaker it was. In between Donnie LeCates' sophomore and junior year and Eric Armstrong's junior and senior year, Claymont closed. There was rumors that this school was going to be renamed Mount Claymont. Claymont, thank you. Claymont, yes, thank you, stand corrected. So they came in, and we expected a first baseman to help us out, and he did. But we didn't expect a new center fielder and a new shortstop and our new number 1 or number 1A pitcher. I can't imagine what you guys went through coming over to your arch enemy. But I want to give it out to Eric Armstrong, and Donnie LeCates for getting us over the hump. Because if it weren't for them, we would not have gone 17-4, I promise. And the rest of you guys helped a little bit too. Okay, now, unless Spizak wants to talk. I'd like to bring up from the beginning of this, one of Saudi's players, Jack McDonough.
Okay. Good morning. This is truly a great honor, and that's been bestowed upon me. And I probably won't be able to do it justice. But I played baseball here between 71 and 74. My brother Tommy and Joe followed in the years up until about 78. And really only just good memories then. So Coach Limmina and Coach Ambrosino led us to the first state championship state tournament game in 1972. And then I commend the 2000 team that Robbie and Joe led to the, as you said, to the finish line. That was great. But I want to tell a few funny stories. So after 50 years, I guess I can do this now and not face any repercussions. So, you know, Mr. Limmina was a hard-working teacher, took care of kids that were challenged, and that's probably the greatest gift he did. But so the players would get here earlier. He was still finishing his duties at the school, and we'd watch as Coach Limmina would come down, and he would take a circuitous path to the field. Not sure why, maybe because he's pigeon-toed. You don't know this, Coach, do you? So he would start, and then he would end up by the wall. He'd course correct and go over towards the school, do another round over here, and then come to the finish line. So you probably never do that, Coach, did you? Now, Mr. Limmina and Mr. Ambrosino had it was really quite a close relationship, but they had a real shtick going on. They would banter back and forth, and I'm going to refrain from saying the things they were saying to each other. It was mostly in Italian, so I didn't understand it anyway. But it was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing older men joke around and tease each other, and I think that's been passed on to myself and my friends. We kind of take it to a perfection. But you know, Mr. Limmina also wasn't anyone to mess with. My brother Tommy was a pitcher for him, and unlike being a very compliant player like myself, Tommy was kind of stubborn. And Tommy fell in love with his curveball, even though he had a good fastball. Mr. Limmina came out one time to him and said, "Tommy, you throw another curveball and you're out of the game." So he threw fastballs the rest of the inning, got them all out, and he said he came back to the bench and Mr. Limmina had this big smile on his face. So the anger never stayed long, but you knew not to cross the line. I see Jeff Gunther there, right? Hey, Jeff. He was a very savvy baseball player, learned a lot. I remember he told me, "Jack, you don't throw that hard, so you need to learn to change up." I didn't understand that, because back then it was like, why am I going to throw a pitch slower than I normally can? Well, it was brilliant. I should have done it. I might have ended up in a better place, but no. But he, you know, of course, it sets up the fastball, and I didn't understand that then. I also had a great time playing with Joe and Robbie, between them at second base for Brandywine, the semi-pro league. And these guys are brothers to me. The essence of team players. Just Joe, just a smooth hitting power hitter. Robbie, the smooth shortstop. And we won the championship in '87. It's one of the highlights of certainly my baseball time. So I feel really blessed to be with the Limminas through these high moments in my life. And really, I will share, I underperformed here at Mount Pleasant. Mr. Limmina was kind enough, though, maybe he saw something in me, and he spoke well of me to the coach at Towson, and things worked out. And I'll always be grateful for that. I think of the Limminas as the first family of Mount Pleasant baseball, for sure. The backbone. But the backbone, though, of the Limminas is Mrs. Limmina, for sure. There's no doubt about it, right? We all need that, and she is the North Star for them, and then consequently for us. As I said, Mr. Limmina knew the game at a very high level, and most importantly, a great role model, and always cared about the best for his players. He served for years, as I mentioned, helping children with cognitive challenges, but he had enough in the tank at the end of the day to come and guide his players for the journey ahead. I just want to tell you, Coach, Joe and Robbie, how happy I am for you, how well-deserved this is, and Mrs. Limmina as well. Congratulations.
I heard that. Thank you, Jack McDonough. I'm a little overwhelmed still. Hearing some stories, and I want to tell a bunch of stories, but it's not going to happen here. Maybe later. But I have one because he brought it up. I played semi-pro also. In fact, Johnny Grace in Corrigan dragged me out of. I was 14 in the cafeteria and said, "Hey, we need an infielder for the Buccos, right?" So I got to play semi-pro because of this guy and those guys. Underage, never happened. But it happened. But I remember going to one of the games at 18th and Van Buren, junior year, senior year, something. Brandywine playing, whoever. And Joe gets on base. Robbie gets on base, and he tries to steal second base and gets thrown out. And this is when there are literally 1,000 people in the stands. I'm not kidding, standing room only. And I hear out of the whole thing, "Robbie, your brother's twice your size and he could have made it." Italians, you know? So, is Gary Gunther here? I heard you like to talk. Would you mind coming up and saying some war story?
Following a tough act.
Well, you're going to do it anyway. Please come up. Welcome. Gary Gunther, class of 1902.
65. Close to the mic.
Talk about being overwhelmed. Wow. These guys are real speakers. I'm not. I just played ball for Saudi, Coach Limmina, during his first year in 1965. Coach Ambrosino was the head coach, and Coach Ralph Lepre was the other assistant coach. And we thought we had the three best coaches in the Blue Hen Conference, and we were determined to be Blue Hen Conference champions that year. Great start for Saudi and the rest of the Londoners. I'm using the term Saudi like I was allowed to. We never were. And real quick, when I was a young baseball player here, I went to the same barber that Coach Limmina went to, Ralph Joffrey. They were also Salesianum classmates.
It's my cousin.
Did it? Okay. Anyway, I made the mistake of being casual with Ralph and saying, "Yeah, Saudi was hitting fungo balls to us the other day in the gym, and that's what this mark is on my face. He was hitting them so hard." Well, practice 1 or 2 days later, Coach Ambrosino says, "Gunther, get over here, home plate, run the bases 10 times." I couldn't even say for what, Coach, because I would have had to do 10 more. Anyway, it turns out that word got back from Ralph to Saudi that Gary Gunther, your player, was calling him Saudi, not Coach Limmina. So I ran the bases, and that was one of the things. But I'm going to say this. We had the best coaches ever. Coach Ambrosino. I don't know whether many of you may be familiar with him, but he was fiery. When he was chewing you out or complimenting you, it didn't matter. When he singled you out for criticism or instruction, the whole team knew you were catching hell. Whenever he was present, we paid rapt attention to him. We liked him. He was good. Coach Ralph Lepre. I understand some of his sons may be here. His two sons. I'll be glad to meet you guys later. Anyway, Coach Lepre, he was quietly fiery. Don't push him too far. He preferred to reprimand and or correct us in a more intellectual way. And then there's Coach Limmina, new assistant coach. He was pretty new. We weren't sure about him early on. We soon learned that he had a really dry sense of humor, and he knew baseball. He also had the coolest nickname we ever heard, Saudi.
10 laps.
I was cautioned to not go too far, but since Robbie brought me up here I am. I wanted to say thank you to the sons of Coach Ambrosino, Coach Lapre, and Coach Limmina, because us players have a bond with them. We became surrogate sons to their fathers because their fathers spent more time with us at practice, games, and in classes than they did with their own families a lot of times. So we appreciate all that time and good stuff your dads imparted on us. We trusted these coaches. They were imparting to us knowledge that they knew we needed to win games. That was the big thing, win the games. They cajoled, they shouted, they entreated, they beckoned, they pleaded, they threatened, they chastised, they insisted, and finally they demanded that we listen to what they were telling us and do the right thing. They were not only teaching us how to play baseball, they were teaching us how to be proper young men. In return, we eagerly sought their attention. We wanted to be recognized from them. Some of us even did the wrong thing, so they would holler at us and recognize us. But we mostly wanted their approval. We wanted to do the right thing. They invited us to seek their approval by their own rules. If we paid earnest attention and put out good energy and always endeavored to win, sometimes that approval was granted, and it was the greatest thing. They were our mentors, our confessors, our athletic deities. They were our baseball coaches, and we began to adore them. They were the best coaches during the best times of our lives. I'm almost done. Good coaches have magic. They have that magic to make a young man want to perform at his very best, to the best of his abilities. They bring it out. Coach Ambrosino, Coach Lapre, and Coach Limmina had this magic. Coach Limmina still does. I can't remember the names of all the wonderful teachers I had here at Mount Pleasant, but I shall never forget my exemplary coaches. Coach Saudi Limmina, succinctly, my brother comes up with this. He was a good, solid man who immersed himself in the game. He quickly identified his talent and knew exactly where to position his players. Not only did he share his baseball knowledge with us, but he shared his heart. And that's I want to mention any of the 65 guys that are here.
Eddie the Saudi.
Any that played for Saudi. David Yates is there. I see him. Wayne Pease is here. Anybody else from 65? I may not be recognizing. Well, anyway. Now, Dave, can I tell the story? Yeah.
You got 4 minutes.
This story is spread around the school. It was very interesting, and it shows the kind of dry wit, classy dry wit that Coach Saudi had. We had a young ball player. He was a junior. He wasn't starting. His name was David Yates. after the third or fourth practice game that he hadn't played, or it might have been the first real game, a convertible comes blasting up in a parking lot with a very attractive woman. She doesn't even find a parking spot. She just stops the car, gets out, high heels and all, comes charging over the field towards Coach Limmina. Well, it's David Yates' mother. If I don't get this right, Dave, raise your hand, all right? She comes over to Sadi and says, "Are you the coach?" Coach Limmina says, "Well, I'm not the head coach. He's over there." And he's pointing to Jody Ambrosino. Mrs. Yates walks right over there. A very attractive woman, very strong, self-reliant, self-confident. She goes up to Mr. Ambrosino, Coach Ambrosino, and says, "Are you the head coach?" And Coach Ambrosino, in his ineffable way, said, "I am the head coach. Who are you?" So Mrs. Yates says, "I'm the mother of the best baseball player you have here, and I'm wondering why you're not playing him." And she turned around and went back. Well, David he's worrying like, "I'm never going to play for these guys again." One of our starters, supposedly Rick Miller, got hurt. Next thing you know, they put David in, and now he's batting fourth, he's stealing bases, he's hitting doubles. He turned out to be one of the best infielder we ever had. So, as I find out later, Coach Limmina goes up to Jody after maybe our fourth win or fifth win, and David must have heard him. He said, "Maybe we should have had Mrs. Yates picking our roster."
I'd like to invite anybody who played for Sadi in the 60s, 70s to come on up and stand with us. Whoever wants to come up, please come join us, because you guys started this mess. Come on up and stand with us, because we're a team. Next, Chad Bowers really wanted to come up and talk because he loves to talk on a microphone, but I said no. So instead, we're going to have Scott Henning come up. Scott? Because he's shy on the microphone too. But we got to start wrapping up because we got a couple more things to do. But Scott, come on up. Why do you got to be so big? Damn it. In nice shoes.
Hi guys. So, I guess for the 2000 team, what I can say, as far as any championship team, you need a couple things. Identity, number one. The identity of our squad was team, first and foremost, for sure. No individuals. I remember, I think it was my senior year, we'd come off a good year, and our squad had been playing together since we were kids. So we already were pretty serious about the game, and it was probably the perfect storm that we met the Limmina family. Some guys talk about like joking and smiling. I never saw any of that. There was no joking, there was no smiling, it was all business. So the first practice, I think I was up there and messing around with one of the guys, and Rob comes up and says, "Henning?" I'm like, "Yeah." "I don't even know if we have a spot for you on this team." I'm like, I was like, oh my God. I was probably one of the better players on the team at that point. But yeah, so now I see Rob all the time at the at Planet Fitness, and we're just, smiling and talking, and we were terrified of that guy. We really were. We were scared to death. But even he said, a couple years back, he said, "Yeah, I was a little psychotic." But we had a good team. I think that Robbie started a bunch of us as freshmen, so we had a lot of experience. And by the time we got to our senior year, there was a goal in mind, and our squad meeting these coaches, our identity was fundamentals. It wasn't really about hitting, it was pitching and defense. And I was always thank God I wasn't an infielder, because Robbie would hammer ground balls at these guys in the gym at 100 miles an hour for hours. Like, we wouldn't even have a glove. He had Rick using this like paper mache mat or something for his hands. And me and Jared and the guys would be so happy we were outfielders. So, but yeah, a lot of this stuff that we learned here, you know, took on after a lot of us guys played ball after high school, and then some of the other guys said in life in general. You know, we worked hard. We ran more than probably any Olympic track team out there, and we appreciate you guys. This is well deserved, and I'm glad we could get you a title. So thank you. 2000 squad, come on down.
Scott, I still hit you because you guys won it all and we were that close. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Delaware State champs, class of 2000. These guys got us across the home plate, the finish line, and we appreciate you guys. So now, big reveal time. There's a sign back here. We didn't have one of these things back in the day. It was just a telephone pole that Johnny Grace would run into in center field to try to catch a ball or try to hit a ball past it. And he did many times. So, gentlemen, I brought you all down here for a reason. We're all Green Knights. We're all the same team from different years. So, I'd say grab a piece of it, but it's a little tall, except for maybe Scott. I can't reach it. But one last thing I want to say is that, well, not last, I'm going to say a bunch of things probably, but Babe Ruth hit 61 home runs. That's been surpassed. Ty Cobb was the hits leader until that was surpassed. Records are made to be broken. The one thing that can't be taken away from anybody who is standing here right now is that in a minute, this is the first time we will all be standing on Limmina Baseball Field in Mount Pleasant. And no one can take that away from us. This is the first, and that can never be changed. So drum roll, please. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Limmina Baseball Field at Mount Pleasant. 2, 1. Now I'd like to ask the Limmina family to come up and just have a picture maybe. And if Robbie, you want to talk? Robbie actually wants to talk on a microphone. Good God, this is a monumental moment in baseball history. Robbie, microphone is yours.
We'll be running the wall. See you in like 20 minutes. Where's Scott?
I'm going to read this. Initially, I was going to do it off the cuff, but I said, no, too many people to follow. And when I use the word I'm referring as well to Joe and my dad. So I'm honored and sincerely humbled in the renaming of the field to Limmina Field. I want to give a special thank you and shout out to those individuals who were very instrumental in making today happen. And please forgive me if I leave anyone out. I know there were a lot of people involved with this, but we were surprised. So we didn't know really any of this was going on. So if I do leave someone out, please, I apologize. However, I do know these people were very responsible in getting the ball rolling. My favorite doctor, Dr. Matt Volz. Matt was a catcher for us and then went on to play at the University of Delaware. Miss Mary O'Connell, over here, lovely lady in the pink, an outstanding math teacher at Mount Pleasant for approximately 10 years and then went over to Concord, but she still bleeds green. Mr. Keith Neff, where's Keith? Keith, thank you. AD at Mount Pleasant doing an awesome job. Mr. Kalai King, terrific. Kalai was an infielder for us in '91. He solidified first base. And Mr. Bill McLaughlin, where's Bill? I know Bill's here. Bill was an outstanding basketball coach over at Concord, and Bill and I went to school to get our masters together at Wilmington College when I first met Bill. Again, thank you for all your efforts, and please forgive me if I left anyone out, because they deserve to be recognized as well.
Page 2.
Hey, there's 4 of them. Thank you also to the number of people who came out to show their support today, to be a part of today's celebration. To say I'm overwhelmed would be an understatement. I'm overwhelmed by the number of family, friends, teammates, people we played against, coaches, assistant coaches, individuals from the community that I see out there today. It really means a great deal, and again, it's just, honestly, it's overwhelming. And of course, the players, because none of this would happen without these guys standing behind us today. They're the ones that deserve the recognition. The field has been an enormous part of our life, dating all the way back to 1965, when my dad came in as an assistant coach. It was extra special and exciting growing up on this field as a young boy, learning the game of baseball by my dad's side. Doesn't get any better than that. And then, later on, going to watch Joe play for my dad on the same exact field, to eventually being fortunate to coach alongside of them on this very, very field. We shared a lifetime of experiences together, which are definitely among the most that I've ever cherished. Believe me, it's difficult to find the appropriate words to adequately express as a family what this means. Before I turn things over back to Kalai, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the women who supported us unconditionally and saw an awful lot of games on this field. So I'm going to point them out real quick. Of course, my mom, her endless support, listening to us, going back and forth at the dinner table, and still listening to us today whenever we gather. My wonderful wife, Ann, she's going to be upset about this, but tomorrow is a milestone birthday for her. So, I want to mention that. 30. My sister-in-law, Mary Beth. And it was especially exciting for 4 little girls that ran around this same field that Joe and I did, tugging at my dad's jacket. Victoria, Valerie, Natalie, and Maria. So as I stated earlier, we thank you. As a family, we are humbled, and we truly are grateful. And thanks especially to all you players. Joe wants to say a few words as well.
Thank you. This was a extremely humbling and honoring experience. We never expected anything quite like this. I'm not going to re-thank everybody that Rob did. That was for all of us. I just want to tell a few things about my experience. The Mount Pleasant community, and especially the school and this field, have been such a big part of my life since I was 5 years old. I knew every inch of this school, the locker rooms, the hallways, the classrooms, the fields, by the time I was 10 years old. So it was a no-brainer for me when I decided that I wanted to attend Mount Pleasant. I was scheduled to attend Salesianum, my dad's alma mater, but at the last minute, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't see myself playing baseball anywhere but here. All my heroes growing up were Green Knights. I look around and, many of them are here. And I'm just going to shout out a few names, but Walt Krasinski, great pitcher for the team that went to the States in the early 70s. Eddie Dunning, Doc Deldio, Jack McDonough, Gunthers, just on and on. I mean, I can go on and on. And not only were they my heroes, but my teachers here. They were like second fathers and uncles to me. Teachers such as Jody Ambrosina, who Gary Gunther talked about quite a bit. Ralph Laprie, Nick Delaquila, who's here, Buddy Clark and Jim Brown, former athletic directors who are no longer with us, but they're here today in spirit. They helped shape my life and make me the person that I am. Baseball is what we love to do, and to play and coach alongside my two best friends, my father and my brother, at the place that means so much to us is a dream come true. It was fun every single day, and we cherished every minute of it. But the team in memory that stands out the most for us through the years was the 2000 state championship team. And the moment that stands out the most to me and to us, I'm sure, of that day was at the end of the day, at the end of the game, after the celebrating on the field was done, we walked off the Frawley Stadium field with my dad and my brother and our 4 daughters, with Rob carrying the trophy on our way back to the bus for the bus ride back to Mount Pleasant. And that was probably the memory that means the most to me, having my family, the children, even some of our nieces and nephews with us, and they all rode the bus back to Mount Pleasant. It was a great bus ride, and the celebration just continued on. So, thank you. Very humbled and honored.
I guess after all this, they've said everything I could possibly say. So my job here is to thank each and every one of you, each and every one of the ball players that we had the privilege to coach. Thank you. And that's it. I do want to correct Gary's story on that. It's going to go back again. We had just lost the Brandywine game. We were down 4-3 with the bases loaded, and guy dropped we hit a high fly ball to shortstop, and the guy on second didn't run. So we ended up losing the game. Now Jody is throwing bats and balls. I mean, he's got smoke coming out of his ears. And then this very attractive lady comes up to me and says, why isn't my son coaching? I said, I don't know. You have to ask the head coach. She said, he doesn't look civil. I said, that's just an act for the kids. So she walked over towards him and says, Mr. Androsino, why is my son? I said, lady, I don't know who your son is, and he'll pick splinters out of his butt until I decide to play. But while she's asking him, she turned around to me, she's the best player you got. And she's walking away from me now, right? Well, and it's true. We should have had her determine who was going to start.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up here. There is a baseball game to be played, so we got to get out of these guys' way. Go beat McCain. But first, we have one little surprise, because I told Robbie and that I would try to embarrass him. So if you would all, before we adjourn to the after party that the Limminas were so nice to set up for us over at Belfont Brewery down the street, if you don't know how to get there, I'll give you quick directions. Go out to your car, drive illegally down the entrance that you're not allowed to leave here to Marsh Road by that weird house that, I don't know why there's one house there, but it's there. Make it right on the Marsh Road, but look out because we call that foul ball row. I'm sure many of us hit a foul ball that broke a windshield right there. He hit a state trooper once. He's a county mountie right next to you. Right there, that guy. And just drive down Marsh Road until you hear a bunch of Italians yelling, and then make a right. But before then, one last thing, we got to get out of here. Please take your time, but adjourn to behind the bump over there. The bump is the pitcher's mound. So all of you, please stand behind the pitcher's mound, and we'll meet you there in a minute. One last surprise. I'm not allowed to go over there or leave this field until I do one thing. And anybody who has been through this with me, you're more than welcome. We were never allowed to leave practice until we were told to do one thing. Robbie?
Touch the Indians?
Can't say Indian.
You used to have to touch the wall as a team before practice was over.
Guys, come on.